ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Rabbi Mira Weller. I'm joined by Rabbis Julie Carroll and Ben Spratt, Cantor Shana DeLoe, Music Director J. David Williams, our incredible musicians tonight, Michael Blanco and Shane Shanahan, as well as our Shabbat greeters. Special thanks to their welcoming Jill Schultz and Carolyn Singer. This afternoon and evening, our congregation's families have joined in multiple services to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Israel's statehood in this special Shabbat together. Throughout each of these 75 years, our Jewish calendar has completed yet another journey, from nature's echoes through the starry roof of our sukkahs, from the realized dreams to be in Israel for Pesach, from blintzes and Torah on Shavuot to our relived exile on Tisha B'Av and our final return each Yom Kippur. Our Parsha this week, Emor, instructs the Jewish people to keep these yearly touch points in a tradition that both remembers the stories of our past and envisions the stories of our redemption. Tonight, as we celebrate 75 cycles of life in our handmade homeland, we'll explore the stories we've told and retold through our holidays, each year suggesting a new path and vision for Jewish life and its flourishing. Now, to quote Mordechai Kaplan in so many words, he said, more or less, more than the Jewish people have kept the Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. And our Parsha reminds us of this, that all these special moments that have kept us as a people help us create our future. And so we start tonight by keeping Shabbat, keeper of Jewish rhythms. And we begin with our Shabbat candle blessings. So I now invite this weekend's B'nai Mitzvah students to help us welcome in the light of Shabbat, including Nolan, Charlize, and Ariella. Come on up. And our blessings can be found on our walls. We'll continue now with Lecha Dodi, welcoming in the Shabbat bride, affirming not just tonight, but the many Shabbats that will follow in our future and continue to make us as a people. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתהילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם ניסוחה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We rise and face the exit.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני הסגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing and continue on page 28 for a call to worship the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Yai, 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 lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, 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 lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai.
We remain standing and turn to page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'yot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
Where is your place of belonging? Where is the place where you have or feel most at home, most like you are needed and necessary? For some of us, this is a place that we can walk into and enter regularly. For some of us, this is a person. For some of us, this is an experience long in the distance past. For some of us, this is an imagined dream yet to be realized. In this week's Torah portion, as Rabbi Weller lifted up, we get the instructions of the rhythms of time. But in this also, we are given the way in which time anchors us in a sense of place and purpose. We're given the instructions of the three Shalosh Regalim, the three festivals that come to serve as anchor points in the Jewish calendar year. Passover, the story of liberation and redemption, going from slavery to freedom. Shavuot, standing at Sinai to receive the Torah. And finally, Sukkot, the festival of booths where we wave plants in the air and lift up gratitude for the blessings in our lives. But what's remarkable is that in these three moments that matter, each and every one of them are in the midst of a journey in the wilderness. It's not Eden, it's not the promised land, it's some in-between space that is surely fraught with trial and travail, with fragility and uncertainty. And yet these are the moments that serve as the foundation stones of the Israelite and Jewish identity. And the way that it ripples forward in this week's Torah portion is that in marking these moments of Exodus, of Sinai, and of the journey of the wilderness, we are enjoined to engage in pilgrimage. We are enjoined to engage in the act of leaving our homes and havens, and to imagine that in the ancient biblical land, people would travel for hundreds or thousands of miles to descend on Jerusalem. That the only way to feel anchored in time was to shift place. Even as these moments in time were meant to give definition of place and purpose. And so for us, it invites us into an ongoing conversation. When we find ourselves in a place of belonging, what are the things that we have lost along the way? When we step outside of our places of greatest comfort, what are the ways that in that uncertainty we are awakened to something new? So we bring forward the words of the poet David White, The Journey. Above the mountains, the geese turn into the light again, painting their black silhouettes on an open sky. Sometimes everything has to be inscribed across the heavens, so you can find the one line already written inside you. Sometimes it takes a great sky to find that first bright and indescribable wedge of freedom in your own heart. Sometimes with the bones of the black sticks left when the fire has gone out, someone has written something new in the ashes of your life. You are not leaving, even as the light fades quickly now. You are arriving. Ours is a tradition that anchors itself in the journey and invites every one of us to see our purpose and place as pilgrims. We continue with Michamocha, page 40. Page 42.
Compassion and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'havidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, from sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'havidenu shomreinu
At a time when so many of us spend such energy curating, marking the moments of joy to show and display the world, ours is a tradition that invites us to hold and bear witness to also the moments that are less beautiful, the moments of pain, of struggle, the moments when we felt most alone in the world. And as we move into our Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, it is an invitation for us to bring to mind, to heart, those that we wish to offer a bit of hope and healing. And with God's blessing and with each of our care and support, the hope is that we may help each and every one reach closer to health and healing. We bring into our communal prayers tonight of healing Sandy Sarabin, Tracy Lustig, Cassie Lustig, Michael Umans, Eli Morrison, Paulette Kohan, Patricia Horn, Stephen Schwinder, Perry Soskin, Roy Soskin, Jane Wisen, Richard Carver, Shira Eliza, Robert Appel, Zvi Leschetz, Mark Miller, Ellen Kirshner, Bobby Waldman, Mark Maguliz, Debbie Provus, Paul Biddleman, Joseph Abada, Cindy Spano, Tom Lee, Ricky Dessen, Benita Ganot, Jimmy Berghoff, Harriet Feldman, Eric Alper, Peter Boritz, Pauline Rothstein, Eric Guthius, and Brian Altman. If there are others you'd like to bring into our Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, we invite you to raise your hand and offer the names as we go around the room. Please, Julie. Please, Jeremy. Arwin. Please. Thank you. We wish them all refuah shlema, complete and speedy healing, as we continue with the Misha Berach on page 253.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us
The feminist theologian Nellie Morton tells the story of a young woman scholar who's at a women's studies conference, and she's very reluctant to speak, but she receives such extraordinary presence from the audience, such a wholly attuned sense of focus, that through that presence, through that palpable listening of her audience, she's able to break through her reticence and deliver her speech. Nellie Morton calls this being heard into speech, totally undermining our conception of listening and speaking and changing cause and effect, that it is actually the listener who gives rise to the speaker by allowing her to feel safe and able to express her most profound truths. When we pray the Amidah, what if, when we say, Adonai sifatai tiftach, Adonai, open my lips, when we ask God to open our mouths, what if we're asking for God's whole presence? What if we're asking for God to be with us so palpably that we feel safe enough to articulate our most profound struggles, our most profound yearnings? The Amidah comes every service like a little practice session for Yom Kippur, inviting us to seek out a God who's present with us, who's truly listening enough to allow us, to empower us to speak our truth in safety, in comfort, and with sacred witnessing. And so just as Rabbi Spratt spoke before about our pilgrimage festivals, which allow us to physically move from place to place, changing our orientation, our understanding, our context and community, Yom Kippur comes as that additional holiday, inviting that inward pilgrimage into the self. And we can only do that really with presence. We can only do that supported by believing that there is some kind of sacred audience. And maybe it's that audience, that God or that listener, whoever is out there, that gives us the power to open our lips and declare not just praise, but whatever it is that we need to speak into the world. We're going to begin with our Amidah on page 46, and we invite you to rise as you are able.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tov. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah, Rav le'oshia, Morid hatal. Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim berofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei avar. Nicham hocha bal gevurot, Umidol melech, Melech mevit umechayeh, Umatzliach Yeshua. B'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, B'chayei hakol. Atah kadosh Hashimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We seal the prayers of our Amidah, the prayers of our heart, with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav, page 60.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki atah melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atah melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. B'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
We invite you into personal reflection.
שנבקש לו יהי לו יהי לו יהי אנא לו יהי כל שנבקש לו יהי לו יהי לו יהי אנא לו יהי כל שנבקש לו יהי מהקול ענות אני שומע קול שופר וקול תופים כל שנבקש לו יהי לי תשמע בתוך כל אלה גם תפילה אחת מפי כל שנבקש לו יהי לו יהי לו יהי אנא לו יהי כל שנבקש לו יהי לו יהי לו יהי אנא לו יהי כל שנבקש לו יהי בתוך שכונה קטנה נוצרת להיתקע עם גג אדום כל שנבקש לו יהי זה סוף הקיץ סוף הדרך תן להם לשוב חלום כל שנבקש לו יהי לו יהי לו יהי אנא לו יהי כל שנבקש לו יהי לו יהי לו יהי אנא לו יהי כל שנבקש לו יהי
There are some times when we're allowed to clap during services, and that was one of them. Gili is a student at the Rhoda Shalom School in the 4th grade and a member of the Rhoda Shalom Children's Choir. So join our choir. You see what happens? You can give him another round of applause. Now he has to go sing it downstairs now, too. So.
And somehow I have to say something after that. In 1970, when Paul McCartney wrote the lyrics to Let It Be, he wrote a song that embodied the insights of the passing decade, so heavily influenced by South and Southeast Asian philosophy. Let it be. Let go. Release yourself from attachment. Release the urge to fight the present moment, as challenging as it can be, for that too shall pass. Let it be. The inspiration for Lu Yihi was written after a decade that questioned capitalist ideals like the accumulation of wealth instead of connection. And so its lyrics reached a world hungry for the wisdom it had to offer, and like many Beatles songs, reached audiences worldwide. However, McCartney's lyrics reached Israel during a time of endless conflict, following the traumas of the recent past. These words of wisdom, let it be, did not translate to Israeli audiences. Its wisdom was lost on a post-Holocaust generation struggling and seeking to live humble lives, lives of meaning, lives that could celebrate cultural tradition without fear, lives that join the yearly ebbs and flows of Jewish life throughout our calendar. The last 75 revolutions in collective Jewish life, from statehood to society today, from Sukkot to Shavuot, have taught a different kind of wisdom and response to suffering. Hope. Lu Yahi, may it be, not let it be. I once thought, very erroneously, that Lu Yahi was an amusing cultural gap between Jews and the rest of the Western world, perhaps our own neurotic take on the song. But, in fact, Naomi Shemer very deliberately shifted the meaning of let it be to may it be. Her message, as I look out at the war-torn landscape around me, I see the signals that Jewish life still endures. We may just see that possibility, that we can build the world as we pray it can be. May it be so. Lu Yehi. And just like our Parsha, Emor, just like our service tonight, Naomi Shemer's lyrics flow through and gesture towards these weekly and yearly symbolic moments that capture both Jewish life as it is and as we hope it can be. The song's lyrics offer small images of Jewish life that in turn offer the prayer, Lu Yehi, may it be. I hear in Shemer's references to holiday candles, the shofar blast, and that small red-roofed house, images from the many stanzas of her song, a journey like our yearly move from Yom Kippur to Sukkot, the humble persistence of life amidst vulnerability, here in this small place, this home, this shelter of Jewish meaning, Lu Yehi, may we find hope. And when she speaks of summer's ending and prays for return, she references the sons and daughters turned soldiers in the heat of war, but also puts forth a message of teshuvah, return. May we return to our yearly cycles, and in repetitions and rhythms of Jewish life, may we find peace in our land, in our homes, in our heart. Let tranquility and strength greet us at the end of this ever-turning cycle, the Jewish calendar, designed to take us from our shaky booths in nature's bounty, through the story of our people, the rise from freedom to Torah, the fall from Jerusalem to exile, with hope ever present on the horizon, Kol Shenivakesh Lu Yehi. Through the light of that holiday candle, sung through Shemer's cherished melody, we see an image of the story we relive and the story we reimagine each year, and the hope that it teaches us never to let it be, never to give up the dream that has driven the Jewish people for thousands of years, thousands of revolutions, from Sukkot's bounty to the breakfast of Yom Kippur, the humble dream to persist amidst violence, to pray in a community of connection, to find hope in the stories of suffering and joy that we relive in each Jewish year. In Buddhist philosophy, the human cycle is an endless cycle of suffering. Freedom comes with detachment, and this is a great source of wisdom in our postmodern world. But Jewish life offers another take on the cycles that constitute the human drama. The human cycle is a cycle of redemption. We hold and relive our past, each revolution offering new insights and new fuel that drives our hope, that makes us Rodfei Shalom, seekers of peace. And this too is great wisdom. Judaism's unique spiritual insight, resilience through hope. Our Parsha this week lines up the plot points of our lives. And tonight, as we reflected on our calendar, as our community comes together to celebrate 75 years of Israel's statehood, perhaps it is the stories we cling to, not our detachment, that brings us here. And perhaps those stories suggest that we will relive our cycles of failure again and again. I certainly have read the Torah that way before. But tonight, I encourage you to look backwards in order to look forwards, to notice that at the end of this circular road lives a perennial promise that we will overcome those forces of darkness that make up our human condition. And as we retell them, and as we relive them, we never give up hope. Hope will be our triumph. Hope will carry us through the inevitable darkness that lines our very human lives. This is the great wisdom of Jewish tradition, of the calendar, of the Parsha, our dreams and hopes. Let those be the source of our freedom. Kol shenivakesh lo yehi. We will now continue with the Aleinu and rise together, turning to page 282 if you have a siddur, or to the walls of our sanctuary. Oh. What's that?
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
As we look back at those stories and those memories that give us persistent hope, we think of those people who have left this earthen body, but whose memories offer a permanent source of comfort and inspiration for our own lives. So first, as we approach Kaddish Tom, the Mourner's Kaddish, I will share the names of those recently departed from our congregation, and then extend the opportunity for you to share the names of your loved ones. We also have a custom of placing stone upon slate as a tangible sign of love and legacy. And as I read or solicit names, I invite any mourner with us tonight to come forward and participate in this small ritual. So I begin with this week's recently departed. Sharon Kasdan, Kalman Abraham Soul, Doris Dobrin, Edith Kutcher, Herbert Landau, Michael Berkelhammer, Karen Salomon, Sarah Siegel, Joan Lee Eglow, Jean J., Jacqueline Rennick, Ellen Bax, Laura Pinsky-Zaken, Sarah Khana, and Louise Weisbord. I now extend the opportunity for those who are in a period of Shiv'ah or Shoshin, the first 30 days of mourning, to share the name of your loved ones as my hands extend across the room. Thank you. Any names that I did not see as I extended my hand? I now invite those who are in a period of Shana, the first year of mourning, to share names of those they are thinking of tonight. Please go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any names I missed? Please. Thank you. I'll now continue with the yard sites we are commemorating in this community. This week we think of the yard sites of Lillian L. Arenstam, Luis Aronowitz, Stephen Belasco, Meyer Berger, Stanley David Bernstein, Alla Bogomolnaya, Bernice Borofsky, Ethel Braun, Edna Brenner, Louis Brown, Rose Chaffetz, Georgine Cooper, Evelyn Copeland, Maurice Cohen, Paula Needleman Curtis, Manuel Davis, Solomon Demo, Leo A. Diamond, Belle Adelberg, Ethel Eisenberg, Sarah Engel, Seymour Finkel, Burton J. Furman, Nathaniel or Nat Geister, Isaac Goldman, Howard Greenwald, Louis Grinker, Sidney J. Hecht, Irvin Honeck, Adele O. Horowitz, Harold Joffe, Faye Kaminsky, Richard Kaplan, Ruth Carroll, Stanley Kattenstein, Gary Costin, Pearl Krause, Fred Lafer, Sidney Lambert, Gertrude Landis, Dr. Favis Landman, Albert Lasher, Herbert Arthur Lesser, Bernard Levy, Robert Lebo, Jane Lipman, Rose G. Livingston, Tess Locks, Ray Loeb, Jenny Messing, Ruth Miller, George Mindlin, Marianne Moore, Oliver Z. Moss, Nathan Nair, Vlad Portnoy, Louis Pulvermacher, Fred Robbins, Janet Binder Robinson, Ida Romanoff, Joe Rosenthal, Harriet Sauerhoff, Martha Schessel, Irving Schimmel, Charles Schlafer, Harris Schlesinger, Fred Schlosser, Arthur Schwartz, Jack Seiderman, Harold Shapiro, Carol Schulman, Henriette Siegel, Jesse Siegel, Florence Silverman, Ida Spiegel, Clayton Springer, Hannah Stern, Henrietta Stern, Toby Tarshis, Evelyn Tepper, Dorothy Ustin, Joseph or Jerry Wasserstein, Eve Weiner, Dr. Max Wender, and Solomon S. Walheim. I now invite anyone observing a yard site to share the names of their loved ones as I extend my hand towards you. We continue now with the Mourners Kaddish, rising as a community to support our mourners in body or in spirit on page 294, or the walls of our sanctuary. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, Amen.
So just a few brief announcements. I want to make sure everyone knows that next Friday night and Erev Shabbat services. It is our Mental Health Awareness Shabbat. Every year in May, our congregation joins the national movement to raise awareness about mental health. This year, we also have the opportunity to celebrate some transitions in leadership and those who have helped lead our congregation in this important domain. Ruth Cobran, who has served as a social worker helping our community for more than 2 decades. We will get to celebrate and offer gratitude to her as she hopefully finally now gets to enjoy a few moments outside of Rhoda Shalom. And we get to also celebrate the leadership of Sherry Steinberg, who's been chairing our Caring Community Committee for many years. She is not leaving and will continue to serve the committee, but wants to create some space for new leadership to rise, and we'll get to celebrate her along with raising mental health awareness in general. We want to make sure that everyone is aware that then the following Friday night, we will actually be celebrating leadership and volunteerism on so many levels in this congregation. It will be our annual Meyer Nathans Award, where we will be able to celebrate the leadership of Annette Orenstein and her incredible dedication to our congregation, as well as the many forms of leadership and ways that people volunteer and roll up their sleeves to help build and shape this community. So we've tried to get the word out, but if any of you have been dedicating your time, your energy, your blood, sweat, and tears to lifting up and holding together this congregation, please make sure you come so we get to celebrate you. We also have the chance to celebrate the passing of the mantle from our president, Peter Ehrenberg, and get to celebrate the rise of our new president, Stacy Cantor. I want to make sure that everyone knows then we are going to be celebrating another milestone in our congregation's history, looking fabulous at 181 years old. Join us for our annual meeting of our congregation on Tuesday, May 23rd. This is going to be at 7 p.m. We do need a quorum, so please join. It is an incredible way to reflect back on the journey that we've taken as a congregation, to celebrate the rise of new leadership and bring excitement to the year ahead. At this time, want to invite our 3 fabulous B'nai Mitzvah to come forward. So Charlie, Ariella, want to make sure, Nolan, want to make sure that your families are coming up as well. So please come join us up here. And as they are making their way up, this community is woven together by us making community. So I want you to turn your head, find the face of a person you do not yet know, move as far as you need to in order to greet them, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, introduce yourself. Maybe that spark can start something new. This is the only way we build our community here.
Let's try to come to the center.
In the center so we can see you guys are going to help.
And for those of you who found the pews so comfortable that you were reluctant to move, we're going to unfortunately force you out of those seats right now anyway. So I can invite you to rise as you're able, and this may also inspire you to go and find yet another person, if you want to be even more mobile, to offer greetings to. We're going to invite our B'nai Mitzvah to come forward here as we continue with Kiddush on page 5.
Shabbat Kodsho, B'Yavo Ratzon Hinchilanu, Zikaron L'Maseh V'Reishit, Ki Hu Yom Techila, L'Mikra'e Kodesh, Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu V'Charta, V'Yotem
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Oh, say shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.